Jackson gave me the news of a planet far away. And Colonel O'Neill will assemble a team that will try to save the day. Dr. Sam has a master plan and a science attitude. And the job for Teal, he's part of the deal with his trusty Go-Out. It's just a regular day at Stargate Command, and it might be hard to understand.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry, we're a little late, Nell.
Just specifically to Nell, we are sorry.
Specifically to you, Nell, we apologize.
Nell, whenever you get into the YouTube comments, you should just say I'm here, because we'll get started. We were just catching up because it's been a couple of weeks since we've like face-to-face talked to each other. So
anyway, I'm your co-fry, Sarah.
Oh gosh, I'm your co-fry, Christina.
I'm your co-fry, Rebecca.
And we were back after a brief hiatus. We don't really have a fry box. I don't know if you guys want like personal updates. Like,
sure, we could do a little personal fry box. Yeah, what do we do? Why were we off? I don't know. You want to start?
Is Rebecca gonna do the thing?
Oh yeah, we need the I'm sorry. I'm really fried. I'm so sorry. Here we go.
Short, cause we're 3 Friday short.
So Christina, let's start with you. You were on vacation.
I was.
John?
I feel like I took it was a nice step away from reality. So I took 2 weeks off work, and Ryder and I flew to Ohio and then went to John's in West Virginia for a week. And then we went with him and his boys, and Ryder and I went to meet up with all of my family in Tennessee. And nobody knows this, but it's quite a large family. There's probably 100 and something people.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was a weekend of just fun and hanging out and just relaxing. And so we did that. And then, and then it was our 1 year together. Yay. So we just spent some time, and then I came back, and I've been working, but it was nice to step away from work for a bit, because it can get a little, as we were discussing while we were so late, work can just be awful. And
the burden of capitalism.
Yes. So, that's what I was up to. So it was wonderful. It was nice just to reset a little bit. So, yeah.
Nice.
That's what I was up to. Rebecca, what did you do? What have you been doing?
So that's the last time we recorded. I was back already from Florida, right?
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah. I got to spend some time in Florida. Then I came back. I've been working, really busy. All exciting things that we'll be able to talk about soon. But I can say that all of the exciting things have turned into me doing a 4 convention tour this summer somehow. So if any of you are anywhere near or planning to go to San Diego Comic-Con, Raleigh, GalaxyCon Raleigh, what is it? Gen Con in Indianapolis, or Dragon Con, my home con in Atlanta, please let me know, because I would love to meet up with people and say hi. So yeah, I'm trying to convince at least one out of the 2 of these to come to Dragon Con with me. If not, both,
I'll be there. I've got my first step was making sure I have plans for Ryder that weekend, and then other than that, it's just booking my flight and getting my tickets. But
nice.
Yeah, I'll be there.
So
I'll be there.
Yeah. Let me know if you're at any of those. I've been to 2 out of the 4 of those. So I've been to Gen Con and Dragon Con before, but never the big one, never San Diego. So we'll see.
I know. I'm so jealous. You're going to be on my coast, and you're going to be so close, but so far.
It is it's a big state. It's a big state.
It's a big state. Everyone's like, oh yeah, California. I'm like, yeah. So like 12 hours later, we're still,
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the
Right.
entirety of the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally just, you're going to be at the very bottom and I'm at the top. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
What about you, Sarah? What you been doing?
It was my birthday on June 27th.
Boop. Oh,
I'm a
yeah. Your writer's
32
birthday twin.
I'm a
Happy birthday.
32-year-old lady.
Mm.
So I spent time with Adam and his family. They were super nice. They got me like all these presents. His mom,
Mm.
he was like, "My mom got you all this stuff," and I was like, "What?"
That's so sweet.
Yeah. She went to good old Boscov's, some like adult, like a shower curtain. I was like, hell yeah. Some Pyrex bowls. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. It was funny too because like when we go to Sam's Club, they've had key lime pies there for a while, and I was like, ooh, I want one. I really want one. He was like, no, we're trying to be healthy. Don't get one. But he was plotting because he's like, hey mom,
Yeah.
Sarah wants a key lime pie. Like we should do that for her birthday. And she and Paula Dean teamed up and made a really, really good key lime
That
pie.
shit looked good.
It was
did.
so good.
That looked so good.
Yeah. I also went, this is very personal, but I'll share it anyway. But I went
Yeah.
to the weight loss doctor. I know I was talking to Rebecca about it.
Oh, yeah. How was it?
I got on some meds, kind of
Okay.
like Ozempic.
Okay.
It works. I'll tell you that. It really works. It
Interesting.
really kills your appetite. Slows down your digestion, so you're really not as hungry, and it's kind of nice to not be obsessed about food as much.
Nice.
Yeah.
How are
I'm
you
al-
feeling?
I feel good. Yeah. I've been on it for, it'll be 2 weeks on Thursday.
Okay.
So I've already like lost a couple pounds, but you know, nothing crazy, like 10 pounds in a week or whatever.
What's the expectation they share with you to have around that? Like, what's the success that you should be looking for with that?
I've been following some people, and some people have lost like over 100 pounds, which I could probably lose close to that and still be considered like what, overweight or whatever. The whole, I don't care.
Don't
But-
follow BMI.
Yeah, I don't.
No.
But I'm looking at it as a way to jumpstart because I know that I can't be on a medication my whole life. I'm thinking of it as a tool to kind of help recalibrate my system to like not be accustomed to overeating all the time. You know, I came from like a family that it was very much like, you're not allowed to leave the table until you eat everything on. And it's like, that's really unhealthy to like make your kid eat when they're not hungry anymore. So really messed up like a lot of my hunger cues and what. So I'm looking at it as that. I know I can't be on it forever, but hope, you know, obviously maintaining is the hardest part as they, you know.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I think it's also, if nothing else, is helping you get through like the first couple of months of, I think I texted you this too, of like the worst part of being like trying to be on a diet or eat healthier is like how hungry you feel. Like in the first month or so, you're just like, why am I always hungry? I hate everything.
Yeah.
And it's helping you get through that
It is.
part. So
Truly.
for real, it's great. I have no problems with what that med sounds like. So
yeah, and listen, I know everyone has their opinion. I get, say, some people think that like bariatric surgery or medication like this is you're a cheater. Do it the hard way, or what? Like do it the right. Like, listen, fuck off with that shit. Like you're not my doctor. I'm going to a very specific weight loss doctor who knows me personally. Like, you don't know every person's struggle or like what you know everything. So.
Yeah.
I think it's really brave and really like courageous of you to take that step and like look at what you're working with and go, here's my tools I can like use to help get me through this. And I think that people who say or like shame it have never had to go through things that they just, I mean, they're just not in a position, and that's just out of a place of privilege, and it's really unfortunate. I thought of you the other day. So there's someone that I am friends with on TikTok. We've been for a while, and I'm not even sure where it started, but she this year had her weight loss surgery, and I've been following her journey, and it's been really great. I'll send you her account. Like, because she went through a lot of steps to mentally prepare and be in a space, and then made the decision for her based on what was happening. And she's just been thriving because now like her workouts that she's been doing are actually getting her what she's been trying to get to for years. And just her advocacy and honesty about the process has really shed a lot of light on it, where I think a lot of people like don't talk about it. Like we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
So
Or you could totally talk about it, but
yes.
I've said this multiple times and I will continue to say it. I don't think weight loss surgery is cheating. I do get very concerned about it for everyone because there are very, very real risks.
Yes.
And if your doctor works through those risks with you and they determine that that is what you need, okay. But I have one friend who died and we're pretty sure that her weight loss surgery was part of it. And I have a family member who became really bad alcoholic afterwards as well, which is a very common thing.
Transfer.
So like, yeah. So it's very, it in fact is not cheating. It in fact is a very hard road in and of itself. And it needs to be treated very seriously. It needs to be not decided on just like, you know, there are some doctors out there that'll do it pretty quickly, you know, and without going through the proper steps. So it's very important to have the right doctor, basically.
If I can say this, and correct me if this is like a wrong, but the way I think a lot of people view that as like a cosmetic procedure that doesn't require a lot of doctors' input. And there are some cosmetic surgeons or doctors I feel like would jump the gun to do it. And they are not the ones trained to go through like what you're speaking to, all the other complications and all the other risk. And are we going through it? And it sounds like, Sarah, like your doctor is fantastic and like knows your path and is like going through these conversations with you. And I'm like I said, I'm super thrilled for you to kind of take ownership of that spot and do it in a way that feels good for you and feels right.
I've been waiting 6 months to get in to see this doctor. Like they were scheduling so far out. So I was very happy that, you know, it was a very quick process. I was expecting to be put through hoops, but because I had blood work done previously, they had a really good look at that. So I didn't have to like wait for more blood work or something. I will say this because I've experienced this in the past with like an ex-boyfriend of mine who, you know, like nothing was more frustrating than hearing from someone who's never had to struggle with their weight to tell you what to do. You just have to not eat. Just do this. And it's like, you don't know what it's like. And something I liked about my doctor is that she is a bariatric patient herself and has lost a ton of weight. So she knows what the struggle is like. And she has that like empathy built because she's been there. So I really appreciate that about her as well. Is like she knows where I'm coming from. She also had plantar fasciitis too, because I was telling her like my whole life story of like everything. Like, are you me? Yeah, so she knows, and you know she even asked like, you know, what weight were I was like I was 159 pounds for a day, and if I could get back to that, I would love it. And it's still technically overweight or whatever, but I would. She was like, that's great. That's a good goal to have. Like, she wasn't like, you must be 125 pounds according to your head. Like, yeah. So I have a really good feeling about it. The medication is great. It's working well. Very much quiets that food noise that people talk about if you've ever heard of it. So that's what's been going on with me.
Nice.
Okay.
Sarah, can you share with everyone the phrase that you decided to put on the road ID?
Oh, so Rebecca sent me a road. I don't know.
Don't show the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like this thing that goes on your Apple Watch or your whatever, so that like if you die on the side of the road, people will know your contact info and they'll know your name. And like if you
or keel over, die is not always, you know, it doesn't have to reach that extreme. But
I can't remember what I was going to put on it. I was going to try and make like a really dark humor joke. What was it going to be initially, Rebecca?
It was something,
clear my browser history. Or
I forget what it was, but it was.
I forget.
To give context, mine says, you blow up one sun, ... Sam Carter line, to give some context about what, because you can put your name and a phone number of like a relative or loved one or whatever, and then there's a line that you can put like I had like a birth year and whatever allergies or whatever medical history, all important stuff. So if you're unconscious, somebody can like help you.
Smart.
But there's always an extra line, so you can put like something random on there. So.
I really want to know what I was gonna put. It was really
it's
like
in our text.
I'm gonna. But I ended up putting, because I'm thinking like, okay, if I'm really like up in the hospital and like, whatever. What do I want it to say? So I put, please feed my cats as
Aw.
my little,
Please feed my cats.
don't forget I have babies.
It's not a bad thing to say. It's like when people
No.
have like those security things that are fire alarms or whatever, they'll have a sticker sometimes that say there are pets inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, please feed my cats. It's so
I'm
cute.
trying to think.
It's so cute.
So yeah, that way they know if taken by a
No. Amazing.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was really like it was gonna be like dark humor because it's like I'm sure they'll appreciate that,
Oh yeah.
But
Just imagine the person that's like the guy that's like making your road ID.
like,
I'm sure they've seen all kinds.
Oh,
of
I'm sure
stuff.
they have. Yes. No doubt. No doubt.
oh gosh.
Anyway,
Well, this was a good fry box. This was just a little life update.
hopefully everybody likes life talk because it happens on here occasionally.
I know. And Nell, sorry again. This is what was going on before we came on.
Oh, I found it, Rebecca.
What was it?
Find my killer. Like if I was on an episode of Law and Order.
Find my killer.
But then I was
I
like,
was set up.
no, I need to save my babies.
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
I think you made a great choice.
you did.
Um,
You did.
I am not sponsored by Road ID, but if anybody goes running or walking outside, I highly recommend them.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things you buy and then you hope to never have to actually use, but
Mhm.
it's a good thing to have. So
That's awesome. Good to know. If I ever find my watch, I will have that. Although mine will be on a treadmill because I don't run outside. So.
Right.
But if you fly off the treadmill,
yeah, yours is say please stop my treadmill.
what if I put like, oh God, I don't know if I would have had enough spaces, but like something like I'm not wearing underwear right now.
Yes, please cover me up. Oh my God.
FYI,
It's
that was on
amazing.
purpose. FYI.
It's amazing. Oh
All
my
right.
God.
So if
Okay,
you guys are
let's get
bored
into it.
enough with our personal lives yet, let's talk about Stargate. That's what we're here to talk about, right?
Yes. Oh, we should put a disclaimer for those that like when we launch this, like skip to 1740 to hear the episode.
Timestamp.
So,
All right. So
let's go.
we are talking about season 3, episode 18, which is Shades of Grey. This is a really good one.
Mhm.
Very like, I don't know how to put it, but like it's mostly Earth centric, and I kind of like when Earth is getting in the mix of stuff and like shady stuff is happening on Earth.
Yeah.
So, let's start with like, what are your thoughts on this episode altogether? Overall thoughts.
It's a forgotten favorite of mine constantly, and then every time it comes up, I'm like, oh, okay, I liked this. Diving more into the themes, it was a very well executed and I think appropriately like timed episode to really segue into future storylines. Like it's kind of like pulling the elephant in the room out in front and saying, okay, like we probably could figure out like there's some shady stuff happening. So like let's make a good story about it. And I like what they did. I think it's interesting. They made O'Neill's character a little bit like O'Neill in the movie, and I thought that was kind of a cool attachment where he was like, "This is how I've always been." And like,
I thought of that too. I was like, are we hearkening back to like the movie O'Neill attitude?
That was my biggest thing from it. There's a lot of movie O'Neill in this.
I think this episode was necessary, and I think it helps keep the series very realistic and grounded because this 100% is something that would happen. If there was a program like the Stargate, there would be something like this, whether it was actually part of the program versus or like some secret offshoot like it is in the episode. It would be dishonest for them to not really include something like this in the plot point. Because it's a very real and nuanced kind of look at people and Earth politics and how things happen.
I also think it does a good job resetting the hierarchy of the team. Not that it needed to happen, but like it really set the tone that like Jack is still at a spot where it's a need to know, and like the fact that the rest of the team was not included. There's more, like I have thoughts on that later, but
Rebecca, do you want to share my image?
oh yeah,
My out of context. I could
But,
only
like-
think of 3, but so okay.
good.
First, the top one. This is a screenshot. Have you ever? I'm sure you have, whether it's like a TikTok or whatever, where it's like the loyalty test, where like I have your best friend call your boyfriend and see if she wants to hook up, and the girlfriend is there the whole time. Like this was the perfect title because it's a loyalty test, stolen heart and property.
100%.
We have the Spider-Man meme where all the Spider-Mans are pointing to each other, and then the FaceTime logo. So,
I know
your
that
guesses. Make your guesses of what those are going to be. We'll revisit this later, but
can I make guesses now, or am I holding my guesses?
sure, go ahead.
Well, the FaceTime's the Gould device.
Yeah, it's the gold
For
face
sure.
ball.
But like, there's a spot in it where like it turns really awkwardly.
Yeah.
There is.
It was like weird. Loyalty test is obvious, and then the Spider-Man one is, I think it's the like, who's the villain? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like who's the bad guy here? Is Jack the bad guy? Who's the mole? Like they're all pointing at each other because it's like which one of us is it?
Yeah, I love it.
I love this episode because it's a catalyst for so many like really cool things that are coming down the pipe. Like, yeah, without you, I mean, spoiler alert for a 20-year-old TV show, but like there are numerous episodes that this episode directly speaks to. And the other cool thing about it is I know that there are some characters in this episode that you probably think you'll never see again, but you do see them again, which is also really cool.
Mhm.
So they actually show you some characters again that as opposed to other episodes that they're done after that one. Yeah. One and done.
Oh, not this
Never
one.
to be seen or heard of again.
Also, any episode where we can hang out in Jack's like super fucking awesome house. Like that.
Game.
I have some very important questions about that too. We'll get to that.
Let's get there.
Okay.
All right. So this episode opens up with SG-1 on Tolana. They are all dressed in their formal attire. Jack and Sam are in their dress blues, and Daniel and Teal'c look like Dr. Jones, like Indiana Jones, but in his professor gear.
Yeah.
So they are there to broker diplomatic relations. The Tolan High Chancellor is all too happy to entertain this, since SG-1 did help them defeat the Gould and like protect their planet in the episode Pretense, which was like 2 or 3 episodes back. Daniel says, of course, they'd like to trade technology. It's always what it comes down to. But the High Chancellor immediately says no because it goes against their prime directive. And then Daniel tries to argue that, hey, like we can change laws if it's appropriate, you know, like it's not relevant. But the High Chancellor is like, this is extremely fucking relevant to us. We will not change this. Sorry. So she correctly assumed that they wanted weapons technology like an ion cannon and explains, listen, I've done my homework on you bitches, and I know that it's far more likely to be used against other Earth nations instead of just defending you against the Gould.
She's not wrong.
Correct. She's very
not
correct.
Wrong.
Yes. And Jack tries to like pinky promise, like, we would never do that. I swear, hand on Bible. And she very correctly calls him out and is like, are you the president of your nation? Are you in charge of everything? No, like, I know that you are just kind of a cog in the machine of your entire Earth's government. You are not in charge. You cannot make those decisions and you cannot make those promises. So Jack gets all pissy and is like, fuck this shit. I'm out of here. And he's like, we should have never saved these ungrateful jerks. And as they're walking down the hallway, he passes the scanner that disabled their weapons back in Pretense when they arrived, and he steals it. He just like rips the paneling open on the wall and he pops it out.
Everybody else's faces just like,
they're like, what is happening? Well, think about it too. Like for Sam, this is your boss.
Yeah.
Like, if your boss does some out of pocket shit, like, ethically, she does protest, and so does Daniel. Sam says her thing. I think she just says it like because she does know it's wrong, but she has to toe a very fine line because it is her boss. He is in charge of her. He gives her orders. Daniel is more adamant in his protest. Teal maybe quirks an eyebrow. Like, he doesn't really say anything.
Yeah.
He's not on board with this either. And, you know, Sam and Daniel protest, Daniel more so, and Jack promptly tells him to shut up. And we cut to our credits. So a very good opener, because we're like, what the fuck?
Because that's a complete tone shift. And that's like immediately, like we're talking about like the Jack of the movie. That's immediately like how he would have talked to Daniel in the movie.
Yeah. And we've been building to this too. He has been very open about his annoyance with people not sharing stuff with him. And it's like, first of all, don't be greedy. Like, that's not how things work. Like, I get he has good intentions and he wants to protect Earth, but you can't do that. You can't. And we'll get into, like, it's a very nuanced thing. It's like the trolley problem. So I get where he's coming from, but it's also like, you can't piss these people off. Like, you would rather have them as friends than enemies. So after the opening credits, we open up again in the briefing room, and SG-1 are all waiting as Hammond enters. Overall, he's like super happy. He's like, good job, guys. You did a great job. You know, he brought back some technology, and he asked Daniel what they had to trade in order to get it. And Daniel is super awkward. They're all very awkward. They don't want to like snitch out Jack. Like, they're trying. It's a very unfair and awkward situation that they're put in. And then Hammond assumed that it was just a gift to Earth for saving them from the Gould. Like, oh, here's a present for you. Daniel tells him,
like, that's some good acting for an actor to act in a show, because at that point, Hammy's acting. Like, Hammy knows.
Right.
Good.
So, like, if you watch this episode twice, like you've never watched it before, you watch it through, oh my God, twist, like plot twist. But then you watch it again and you realize, like, yes, this is all an act. This was all planned out. And there are some people who are unaware of it, but then there are some people who are in on it. And yes, essentially, this is an act for him and to be putting on. He knows exactly what went down. And again, it's that loyalty test, stolen hearts and property.
I mean, they passed. They didn't really.
It sucks, though.
But like, it sucks.
I feel really bad for them, and it really sucks. And we'll get into that into the discussion. But, you know, Daniel tells Hammond that the Tolan actually refused to give them anything. And you can cut the tension in the room with a knife. It is so, like, awkward. And then Hammond is confused and asks Sam how they obtained the technology. And she is extremely uncomfortable and put in a really unfair situation. But thankfully,
even Jack, I think, you know, Jack's like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
To Daniel, yes. To Sam,
no.
Right, because she's in that position to, like, throw her boss under the bus. That's awkward. Like, if I was in a meeting with my boss and then her boss, and he's that's terrible. You don't want to do that, especially, like, Sam respects Jack, and I'm sure she's like, doesn't know what the hell is going on and why he is stealing stuff, and, you know, I'm sure she's like got a lot of questions, but it's very awkward and a very unfair situation to be put in. So Jack speaks up and he admits that he stole it. But then he tries to play it off. It's like, I just borrowed it. And then Carter can figure out how it works and we'll just give it back. And Sam gets super surprised by this because she's like, excuse me? I can do what? Like, you're signing me up to be your accomplice in this? Like, what?
Yeah, she's being voluntold, you know? Like,
yeah. Where she's like, yeah, it's kind of shitty. So right now, Sam is probably regretting saving his ass from Adora. She's like, this bitch right here. I'm shipping him back. So we have some dialogue between Hammond and O'Neill. Would you guys like to read that?
Yeah, I'll take O'Neill.
Go.
All
for
right.
Hmm.
I have to prepare for Hammy.
Oh, yes.
This command has already been accused of stealing from several other alien cultures, Colonel. Until now, we've denied it. Perhaps that was a bit premature. Dare I ask how many other items you've stolen?
None. This is the first.
Colonel, you don't seem to understand how serious this matter is. You and your team have committed a court-martialable offense.
To be fair, General, I did it. Carter Daniel protested, and Teal, well, he really didn't say anything. But I could tell he was opposed to my actions by the way he cocked his head and sort of raised his eyebrow.
Enough, Colonel. Dr. Jackson, Major Carter, and Teal'c, you will return this device immediately to the Tolan and hopefully smooth over what must be some very ruffled feathers.
Why? Our core mission is to go through that gate and find technologies we can use to defend against a Goa'uld incursion. Am I right?
You are bordering on an insubordination. We do not steal from friendlies.
Well, with no due respect, General, that's just plain stupid.
Colonel!
And since the Pentagon won't approve our backup program, we have no choice.
So, the layering in this on the surface, very heated argument. Jack his cheese has slid off his cracker. He's lost it. Like that's his. He's had the shits of it. He's like, I'm done with this shit.
He's
But
out of
then-
10. He's out of 10.
Yeah, but then the layering to it is like, actually, this is all just like a fun act they're putting on. Like, this is not real.
I can imagine them like rehearsing that. Like, here's how this argument's
Oh,
gonna go down.
but O'Neill probably took it further even because he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
when am I ever gonna have a chance to say
Oh,
shit
yeah.
like this?
A free pass.
Disrespectfully, sir.
A free pass.
With no due respect. It's
And then,
amazing.
like, Sam, Daniel, and Teal'c are just like, what the fuck is happening? This is wild.
I love Daniel through all of this because he's got that, like, I'm suspicious and concerned. Like, the whole time, if you watch it with, like, Daniel's, like, always lurking. He's, like, in the background, like, this is odd. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfy. I'm going to back away slowly from it all.
Even Teal'c, because before, like, if his is all body language, because before he's like in this really relaxed state, and then like he sits forward and like he tends to, like, you can tell he's like a lot more aware, and facial expression has not changed, but body language, he's like, what? And then poor Sam, she's just like, what is happening? Like, she is blindsided by all of this because, again, like, these are her two superiors kind of going at it like this. So Hammond relieves Jack of duty and orders him to the infirmary. Jack is being escorted by Teal'c, and Hammond makes it very clear to Teal'c that he's no longer under Jack's command, so Jack cannot order him around. All while this is going on, the alarms start going off for an unscheduled off-world activation. Obviously, it's the Tolans. They just bust through the iris with their fancy iris busting gear, like,
most thing they had to, like,
Yeah.
wipe it away.
and they are understandably pissed. She's like, I want my ship back, and we are not friends anymore. She's mad. So Hammond tries to salvage it and is like, hey, we're sorry. Like, we can't be held responsible for the actions of one guy. Like, my bad. It wasn't me. And Travell calls them out, rightfully so, and is like, hey, Dr. Jackson was there, and Teal'c was there, and Major Carter was there, and they didn't do shit. So you all suck. TBH. Fuck you all. Like, so, cut to the infirmary. Jack is getting checked out, and Teal'c is standing guard at the door, and he just takes up the entire, like, door frame. Jack appears to be in good health with nothing wrong with him. He tries to leave, but Teal'c won't let him, and Jack even tries to order him, but Teal'c won't budge, and he's like, what is going on with you? He even says it to Jack. He's like, I don't understand why you're acting like this. What is wrong with you? But then Hammond does call for Jack, and then Teal'c steps aside. And Jack and Teal'c are on their way to Hammond's office, and they pass Sam. And this is where we get some, like, really fucking heart-wrenching, devastating. You guys want to read that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything I can do?
About?
Well, sir, with respect, you aren't exactly acting like yourself.
No, Carter, I haven't been acting like myself since I met you. Now I'm acting like myself.
This is where I said, boo, tomato, tomato. Send him back to Adora.
Like the whole, I haven't been myself since I met you. That's
personal.
That's personal. That was too far.
Yeah.
To be honest. I think that's too far.
And she's still, though, she doesn't give like this like look of disgust when he leaves. She gives still like just mass confusion.
Yeah.
Which is saying something. She's like, this dude just was awful. And I'm still like, I'm still having a hard time believing it.
But like in a way, it's a small way validating to his feelings, because for him to say it's like, I haven't been the same as I met you, also strikes a chord of like, okay, there is something. And so that's a weird backwards validation. And like, I would equally be like, what? You know?
What?
Wait, okay. Is that good? Bad? I don't know. Like, I would be very thrown off.
Poor the three of them for this whole episode. They're just, what?
Oh, it's so shitty.
It is shitty.
So as Jack's coming in, Jack is going to Hammond's office and Travell is leaving. And he's really enjoying this when you look back on it. He even says to Travell, look who's here. Come to retrieve your vastly superior stuff. You know, it would be a lot more superior if it wasn't so easy to steal.
But like, you know, it's so funny because they're in on it too.
They're in on it too, yeah.
So they're they're all just being assholes to each other because they can.
They're putting on a great show, and the poor people that are actually involved are just completely confused.
They're all just having a great time LARPing, and nobody else gets it.
And it's honestly like, I can see how this would damage some, even though it's not like, I can see how it would damage friendships and relationships in the long run. So in Hammond's office, he's just getting lit up. Like, the Tolan are pissed. You know, Hammond is basically saying like, they want you to be dealt with appropriately. They're a victim of a crime. And he's like, well, now I'm a criminal? What the fuck? And so Hammond tells Jack that he has to press charges, which is essentially what a court-martial is. We hear the term court-martial all the time. They never really explain what it is. So to all of the non-military people out there, it's basically a judicial court when members of the armed forces are accused of offense against military law. So the military is pressing charges against you. Very serious. Like, you will go to jail. So he reads Jack a laundry list of all of his other shenanigans that make him look bad, like when he basically kidnapped Marin and took her to that school to show her what fun was. And this was like the final nail in his coffin. And it was either jail time or retirement. And of course, Jack chooses retirement. And cut to retirement, it looks quite boring. He's playing chess with himself in his McMansion. His house is so nice. Like,
it's so cute. I love it.
Where is this in Colorado, or is this like
Minnesota?
Does he live in Minnesota?
Isn't it Minnesota?
No, it's in Colorado, because later there's a whole okay.
Well, I guess it would have to be.
All you Sam and Jack shippers know the episode when Sam drives to his house and wants to say something, but he's got that other girl there. Like,
you're right.
I believe he has a cabin in Minnesota.
He does. Yes, the cabin, the pond and the cabin are there.
Yes, but that's what I'm thinking of.
So Daniel shows up and wants to talk. So we have that dialogue between Jack and Daniel.
Okay. Switching roles. You
Go
get
for
to
it.
be O'Neill now.
All right.
Hold on. It just starts with Daniel saying no.
Yeah, something like that. I forget. They're
having beer or
Jack's like, I don't want to talk about my feelings and stuff like that.
Okay, got it. I was envisioning like when he opened the door, and I'm like, this is not the dialogue.
No. That's the whole beer talk. And then Daniel's like, I don't actually like beer. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So Daniel says, no, when we were in the briefing, you said something about the Pentagon not giving us the backup we requested. What were we talking about?
Hammond and I were planning a secondary SGC base off-world. It was going to serve as a backup in case ours was attacked. I was going to command.
And the Pentagon pulled the plug? So you're acting out because you're hurt? Because you didn't get a command?
Give me a break, Daniel. Their denial of the program was just another indication that they're not serious about attaining our goals.
Which you think is attaining new weapons and technology.
Protecting ourselves.
But isn't our mission also about establishing and maintaining diplomatic relations with other cultures?
What's the point if we don't gain anything to help our other interests?
Well, there's a lot we could learn from people like the Tolan that has nothing to do with technology and weapons.
Stuff that interests people like you, Daniel, not people like me. I want to see tangible gains from our efforts, and if people like the Tolan don't want to share, we should just take.
You really believe that?
Being sweet and nice isn't going to stop 3 or 4 Ghoul motherships if they decide to come back again. I'd rather be a thief and alive than honest and dead. It's a cliche, but there it is.
If you really believe that, I guess I never really knew you at all.
Come on. You're a bright guy. You had to sense some of this.
Oh, the gaslighting. Oh.
This essentially kills their friendship.
Yep.
These are two fundamentally different points of view.
Mm-hmm.
Jack is just like, we need stuff. We need to take their shit at whatever cost to protect ourselves. And Daniel's like, what about fostering relationships and learning about cultures and exchanging knowledge in a respectful way? And he's like, no, that hasn't worked for us this far. Like, no.
But this whole dialogue, again, is like from the movie. Like, this is like they would have had this conversation in the movie. That version of O'Neill would have said that shit to him, and it's so disappointing. But again, it's an act, so of course, like, let's go full pendulum swing. But again, I don't think Jack's being sensitive to. I mean, it's got to be real, and it's got to be hard for him, but he's putting in extra personal jabs with each of them that is really damaging for future. Like, I don't know that all of that needed to happen.
Well, he does say something at the end that really makes these scenes more believable too. Even the ones in Hammond's office when it's just between him and Hammond, where it's like, why do they need to keep the act up? Like, it's just them. But if they're being bugged, they need to be 100% real about it, very, like, through to the end.
Yep.
So it's one, he's bugged, so he needs to keep up the charade. But then 2, it is a loyalty test. It's one of those shitty fucking loyalty. Oh, is your boyfriend cheating on you? Let's test him. I'll send him an Instagram DM. Like, it's kind of like that, where it's shitty, and it's like, it sucks that they had to do it to make sure, you know, Sam, Daniel, and Teal'c were loyal.
Sucks.
So, cut to more boring retirement, and then who comes knocking but Mayborn, and he would like to make Jack an offer. So now I have this dialogue.
Who you want to be?
I want to be Mayborn.
Yeah.
I figured. All right, cool.
Well, suffice it to say, I've heard about your little altercations with General Hammond.
Sweet little grapevine we got there, isn't it?
Let's just say that I see a lot of paper that goes through the mountain. I was most interested in your passionate argument that we shouldn't be quite so diplomatic about acquiring the things we need.
Get to the point.
What if I told you I could offer you a way to achieve your goals?
My goals?
Yes. What if I told you I could arrange for you to lead a team through the gate to acquire whatever you want, whenever you want, for the good of this country?
If I believed you could do that, I'd have to figure out whatever you're doing, or I'd have to figure whatever you're doing is very illegal.
What you did yesterday was very illegal, Colonel.
So he leaves Jack with his card and tells him to call if he gets bored. Back at the SGC, Sam, Daniel, and Teal'c are waiting for Hammond because they assume they're going to get their 4th character, their 4th man. Daniel thinks that it should be somebody like Ferretti, and then Sam will be given command. But it turns out to be Colonel Makepeace, which stinks. Daniel tries to stick up for Sam, which is super nice since she's been getting the shit end of the stick lately. But Makepeace is here to stay. Teal'c is pissed. Like, he's not happy. And he doesn't even say a word. Like, he doesn't have to. Because when you think about it, he came here for Jack. Jack was the one that flipped him. Like, he has the closest relationship with Jack. Was it based on a lot? No. It was based off of, like, yo, cool watch, man. Okay, I'll come with you. But, like, that is his, like, touch point for Earth. That's his closest relationship on Earth.
I think he would have been fine if Sam had gotten it, though. Like, he would have totally been cool with that.
Yeah.
Like,
but I think he would view anybody else as an outsider. Especially because Makepeace is in charge of him. He really does not like it. And I think they needed that friction too. They needed to, like, piss off Daniel for Sam, kind of undercut Sam. Like, they needed to make it uncomfortable and shitty. So 1 week later, Jack has had the shits of retirement and calls Maybourne. Maybourne tells Jack it's not exactly classified, but it's secret and dangerous. Jack agrees. So cut to an airplane. Maybourne pulls out the Gould communication ball, something he proudly states that he did not have to negotiate for, something they stole. Maybourne explains the operation is an offshoot of the NID, off the book, so to speak. He wants to keep Jack to command one of these teams. So I don't know. I don't understand, like, the logistics of, like, okay, so it's secret, but, like, who is in charge of this secret? How far up does it go? Is Maybourne acting alone in this? Is it somebody higher up? Like,
I mean,
isn't this the start of what, like, starts getting Maybourne in big trouble?
Yeah,
Like,
this is Maybourne's side project. Like, Maybourne is taking his access to classified documents and created. That's why it's such a ragtag team of, like, low level. Like, there's nobody important that's involved in that.
So you think he was acting alone? Like, this was all Maybourne's, like, baby?
I think he got, like, whatever other people in the NID that agreed with him, and they're like, we'll still be at the NID, but we're doing this thing, like, on the side. Like,
yeah, and I think his whole kind of thing around it was maybe to potentially pitch it of, like, hey, here's a project we've been on. Like, it feels like his intention was to kind of find the discovery of a lifetime and be able to have that be his ticket, like something good enough to, like, make up for all the wrongdoing, and then, like, get his accolades in politics and with the government. That's what it feels like to me, because he's such a, like, seeker of power that it felt like he kept digging for the right thing to, like, protect Earth, and then he gets to be the king. And as we learned later, he has this complex of wanting to be the, like, ruler or, like, the important one. So he wouldn't have kept it shadow forever. It's impossible.
And I just had this thought of, like, you know, if they hadn't have pissed off people or they got away with it, he probably would have been viewed as, like, a hero. Like, there's a fine line between hero and villain. So Maybourne dials up the Gould FaceTime and introduces Jack to Newman, the person that is temporarily in his command.
Okay, I have a question on this one, and maybe no one will get it. But when he goes, "Hello, Newman,"
Seinfeld.
Okay, thank you. I was like, that's got to be a call to that, right?
And it would have been very relevant in the time.
Okay, because I was like, that's okay.
Oh yeah,
right on.
You can't deliver it that way at all without it being directly Seinfeld.
That's confirmed. It's in the trivia. Yeah.
Okay.
So Newman and Jack have crossed paths before because he's one of the people who stole the touchstone, that device that controlled the weather back in, I don't know if it's the beginning of this season or back in season 2. And he escaped through the Stargate, the second Stargate. So Jack agrees to the mission. Cut to Hammond's office. Makepeace is bitching because even though Sam has accepted his command, it is her job, how could she not? Daniel and the Jaffa haven't. And even Hammond is like, maybe don't call him the Jaffa, you twat. Like, what the fuck? Of course he's not gonna be. That's really fucked up. Come on. So then Jack enters Hammond's office, which is like, first of all, how did he get access to the base? Like, how did they let him in? Did he have to call in a favor? Yeah, how did he? I'm sure his access was revoked, but he confesses to Hammond that retirement is boring and he wants to retire off world and he wants to go back to Edora because he promised Larry he would go back someday.
That shit also pisses me off. You're gonna use that woman as your like. You gotta feel guilty as fuck about that because you go to her fucking planet and you don't even say hi.
He does.
You
He
go
doesn't.
to her planet and
It's
you
just
don't say
like-
hi.
He could have said like Abydos or something, but
The most realistic one was. I mean, that
just
was the most
happened.
realistic
It's
place
fresh,
for him to say.
yeah. Which
But,
is
like-
another like knife in Sam's back. She's like, "What the fuck?" Like, I worked. What's that? I don't know if this is like appropriate or not, but remember, and she's like, "I worked like a dog day and night."
Yep.
Like,
God.
and then he's just like, "Bye, I'm going back."
Jesus.
So Hammond agrees, but he reminds Jack that he will not have a GDO and he will never be able to come back to Earth by Stargate. So it's a once and done thing. So Jack leaves. It's all very awkward, but all the military personnel do give him a salute goodbye. I guess Janet's was very wrong. Dr. Fraser's salute. It was more of a British salute. Yeah.
Instead of this.
Well,
Yeah.
and Daniel wasn't down there. Daniel was skulking up in the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
area. He was not down there. He wasn't happy.
Okay. So this is where I have questions about his house. If he truly was leaving, and this goes for any time that they get stuck off world, like when he was gone for Adora for 3 months, who paid the mortgage? Is his house paid off? The electric bill?
Yeah,
Like,
it's probably
how
on
does this
government
happen?
pay.
That's what Adam was saying too. I was like, this
Probably
is a very
government pay.
boring explanation. Like, it's all government subsidized housing or whatever, but it's like still
Yeah,
like
they pay it.
phone plans.
Yeah,
Would
stuff
it?
like that.
Yeah,
They would
I
just pay
feel you
that.
though. Like especially in this case, would it not have like? Would there not be some
put it
red
up for sale?
flags?
Yeah.
If people are like, well, he hasn't put all his affairs in order, like on this planet, so like
Leaving your fully furnished home like empty.
he lists it on Airbnb while he's gone.
Like no clearing out. Not that he would need money where he's going, but like bank accounts
Something.
would have had to be closed. I don't know. It just made me think of that time too. It's like when they're off world for a very long period of time. I don't know if Daniel's stuff is taken care of like that because he's a civilian. So like, whoops, didn't pay rent for 3 months because I was a prisoner. Sorry. Please don't evict me.
No, I mean I feel like they have like I feel like it gets paid through
Yeah.
through the government. So
It has to be because in those situations, like they would come back and like their shit would have been just like sold in an auction or something. Like it'd be terrible. They'd come back from like being a prisoner for who knows how long
In a blind auction. Like
Yeah.
one of those, like you don't know what you're gonna get, and everybody
this-
gets all these ancient things out of Daniel's house. Like
an estate sale. Or like Jack comes back from being like killed by Ball for like 1,000,000 times and then his house is foreclosed on. He's like, God damn, like
but
I'm really going through it and my house is gone now.
But like there is a time when Daniel died that his stuff did go.
yeah, they were trying to pack it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the government, like there's a team that like takes care of that. So like for Jack, it could easily be like, okay, he's gone and the team's gonna come in and do their thing to like get rid of it all and sell it. And I don't know.
It still sucks.
Must be nice though, like to have a team. Like, hey, I just want to leave. So if somebody else will just take care of all of this, it'd be great.
That'd be great.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Or to not have to worry. Like, yes, I'm a prisoner on a planet very far away, but the mortgage is due. Can you let me go, please? Like,
put that on your rent tag or put that on your tag or whatever. Pay my mortgage, please.
Pay my.
Please pay my bill.
Some Jaffa on a planet's like, oh shit, you got a mortgage too? Yeah, you can go, man. Like, I get it. Like.
So yeah, that made me wonder of like, okay, yeah, he's going off world, but like all of his stuff, like he takes nothing pretty much with him. Awkward. So Jack also like their cars too. What if their cars get repossessed?
Oh my god, Sarah, they'll take care of it. I don't know.
It's all on the government dime. It's parked on a government base. They wouldn't let anybody come in. Anyway, Jack gets to Adoria and immediately turns around. He doesn't even say hi.
My problem. Doesn't even take a moment to be like, let me go say hi to this woman.
Doesn't
be
even
worse,
drop a
though.
letter somewhere or something.
Nothing.
That would be worse, though.
Oh,
Like,
I'd rather him not. He's obviously just using it as an excuse to go somewhere else. Saying hi would just like make it worse and shove the knife in even further.
I guess.
So he goes to another planet and meets his new team, and Newman offers to show him some goodies that they've acquired. And then he meets Lieutenant Claire Tobias. She shows him an anti-gravity device and starts to explain how it works with all this technobabble. Jack even says it reminds him of Sam, and Claire tells him that Sam beat her out of a position at the SGC.
She's salty.
Yeah,
she's salty.
Big mad. But they explain, like, hey, if it's small enough, we can sneak it back through the gate with our mole that we have working at the SGC. We'll leave it on a planet. They'll tell us the info of where they're going to be. We leave it there ahead of time, and they can sneak it back. But these bigger things...
It's so true. And they'd all be living on base.
So, yes,
All of
we have
them.
a comment. If they reshot the show today, in today's economy, everyone is definitely living on base.
Yeah, John, that's 100% correct. They would all be on base.
So, but if it's a big item that they can't sneak back through the gate, they reverse engineer it and then they send the plans back, like the schematics and how they can build it. So Mayborn calls on the Gould FaceTime with his first mission. They're going to a planet where SG-9 were unable to acquire the technology. Mayborn reminds Jack this isn't the SGC and to use whatever means necessary to get it. So if you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, go ahead, man. The destination is a cave used by the locals as a place to hide from predators. The predators follow them into the cave, and the people, the Tyrnoks, they use a device to make them invisible. It's like this invisibility cloak thing. So they find the device, it works, and Jack notices, like, hey, this looks like it's Asgard. And it is, because this is an Asgard-protected planet, kind of like Samaria. So we have some dialogue. Newman, O'Neill, and Tobias. I'll get the Tobias.
Okay. Which one you want, Rebecca?
I'll be Newman.
Okay,
Newman.
Newman.
Can you imagine the ways we could use this for Black Ops back on Earth?
Yep. But it's not back on Earth. Are you going to be able to backwards engineer this thing?
We don't have to. Items this small, we just send back to Earth.
How?
We've got a man on the inside. On one of the SG teams. Colonel Mayborn tells us where the mole's team is about to go. We get there first, make the drop, and come back here. The mole comes in later, retrieves the item, and packs it back in his gear.
So that explains the whole thing that I just said. Anyway, they're showing their hand here, talking about how they can use it for Black Ops on Earth. So not to protect the Earth from the Gould.
No.
So they're clearly, like, not very noble intentions there as well. They're like, how can we, like, fuck shit up on Earth with this? Like, stick it to the someone else. Like, I don't want to say any countries' names and get us, like...
Yeah, that's not.
Botted by... Yeah, anyway. So, it's kind of shitty because, like, they're immediately like, this... They're really not, like, thinking of ways to protect themselves from the Gould. Like, they just want weapons to help America. So Mayborn gives him the gate address, and Jack volunteers to make the drop because he's like, hey, if I'm going to be running this team, like, I want to see how the whole thing works. So Jack hides the device right by the DHD, but there's an incoming wormhole before he can really finish, and it's the mole's team, and it's SG-1.
Ooh, who's
so
the mole?
Plot twist. So, like, it could be Sam, Jack, or Teal'c, and it could be Makepeace, but I think Jack's fear is like, holy shit, what if it is somebody that was on my team? Like, that's a very real fear of Jack. So he hides in the bush and he washes. For a moment there, it looks like Teal'c he's right next to it. And Jack is watching him thinking like, is it Teal'c? Is he gonna pick it up? But he doesn't. And then after SG-1 conclude their test, they are dialing back to Earth. Jack sees Makepeace crouch to tie his shoe, and he picks up the device and hides it in his coat.
Sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
Sneaky.
So Jack makes his way back to the home base planet where he was, and just as he leaves, we see an Asgard beam down. We're like, what? What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
So just as the facility begins, hold on, I skipped the. Jack gets back. He tells Newman the coordinates are right, but he ran into the SG team, and he had to wait them out. It was like, your timing was way off. Like, thanks. But then the facility begins to shake, and it's an Asgard ship descending over the base, and Jack begins to dial the gate. The team is completely confused. So, would somebody like to read this lovely dialogue from O'Neill?
Yes. All right. Taking back what's rightfully theirs, I guess. Listen up, all of you. You've got two choices here. As soon as they stop taking stuff, they're going to start taking people. Now, you can go with the Asgard, or you can follow me. Your choice. I'll be holding the door open so you can't go anywhere else.
So,
and then he goes through the gate.
The entire thing was a setup. There is a piece of like a goof or something where it's like Jack didn't have a GDO, but I'm assuming the Asgard gave them the tip off when they beamed down to the planet. Like, they kind of gave Earth the heads up of like, okay, it's going to be them coming through. Like,
Yeah.
let them through. But it was a whole setup. Jack was a double agent. He was playing this part the whole time. He was not a bad boy. He didn't actually steal.
Well, I love it because Makepeace is in there like tying everybody up, and Jack's like, "Oh, you got another set of those?" And Makepeace
Yeah, he
like,
hands him his own zip ties.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
The zip tie handcuffs are wild too.
so good.
So he goes through the gate. The rest eventually follow. They're all being handcuffed with the zip ties, and Jack gets Makepeace. And then Travell enters the gate room, and Hammond tells them they are all under arrest for crimes against the United States and our allies. Makepeace is pissed, and he basically starts saying the kind of things that Jack was saying at his house to Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
We need this. They don't cooperate. Fuck them. Like, we just need their stuff. And this is where we get a very, like, one of my favorite quotes from Jack. He's like, we don't need their stuff, Makepeace, but we do need them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very Jack thing because he's kind of like that middle of the road. Like, yeah, I would really, really love it if they shared the technology with us, but I'm not going to like go over that and go over that line, cross that line, be dishonest, steal, lose my integrity. So we have some dialogue. Daniel, Hammond, Carter, and Travell. I will get the Travell.
I will take Daniel. I can do Daniel and O'Neill if you want to do your Hammy Carter.
I'll do Hammy Carter.
Do Hammy Carter. All right. So Daniel says, so just to clarify, this whole past week, beginning with the appeal we made on Talana, in which I did a lot of work, by the way, I take was all a scam.
Within the last 2 weeks, the Asgard and the Tolan approached us independently of each other with evidence that we were stealing technology from them. We, the SGC? Yes. The Asgard, the Tolan, and the Nox were all going to sever all ties with us. But we convinced them the theft must be the action of a rogue group from outside the SGC.
We insisted that you apprehend them yourselves. You have now regained our trust.
So you set that whole thing up on Talana in the hopes that the mole would think you were one of them and approach you?
And you didn't think you could trust us to help?
We wanted to assure that your reaction to the Colonel's behavior was as it should be, and the Asgard insisted that Colonel O'Neill be the only one involved.
They like me.
So I feel so bad for Daniel because he finds out he worked really, really hard on this like presentation. He's like, I put a lot of work into this, and it was all fucking fake. What?
I love in the discussions, but that's so Daniel because like what he's worried about, the most like offended thing is like, put a lot of fucking work into that, and I thought
Yeah.
I was going to do something good. God damn it. Like,
Yeah.
just wasted energy.
So Travell seems pleased with his outcome. She and Hammond leave to discuss. Daniel, Sam, and Teal'c are kind of annoyed, rightfully so. Relationship test, loyalty test. And then the newly reformed SG-1 walk out of the gate room. Jack tells Daniel that all the stuff that he said back at his house, was just an act because his house was bugged, and their friendship is solid, good foundation. Like, we're good, we're okay. Jack does say that it meant a lot that Daniel came to talk to him, but Daniel was like, actually, no,
No.
because we all drew straws to see which one of us would come talk to you, and I lost.
Oh.
And I had to be the one. Cue whimsical music, fade out. We end on a kind of a light, funny note.
Mhm.
Thank God it was Daniel, though, because I couldn't imagine that conversation between Teal'c and Jack or Sam and Jack. I don't think it would have been appropriate for Sam and Jack to have that conversation.
No.
And again, not really fair to put her in that situation. And maybe honestly, he was just making that up as a dig to Jack to like get one back at him to be like, I don't want to fucking come talk to you. I lost. Like, you sucked. He could have just kept the straw. No, I think he made it up. I think he
did too.
Trying to do a dig.
Trying to think of like salty Daniel, like, I don't want to come see you. Like,
we don't care about you. Nobody cares about you.
Because like that's not believable. They all care about him.
Yeah.
If anything, it was more Daniel going, let me go talk to him. We don't need to all go. Let me go get the truth of it.
It sucks too. Like, I can understand how their feelings would be hurt. Yeah. Like, because they were essentially told, like, actually, like, we needed to make sure we could trust you. We couldn't tell you about this. Like, being intentionally left out of something like that, it kind of sucks and feels shitty that it's like, wow, they didn't trust me. And even somebody who I considered a very close friend, like, I get that he couldn't say anything. I get that. And I'm sure in time that they will accept that too. Yeah. But coming out of it and like the raw feelings of like, this kind of sucks, man.
I think it helps that Hammond put in there that the Asgard wanted only Jack because it puts it on somebody else. And so I was like, listen, like, love it or hate it, like, this was the conditions of it. Yeah. We had no choice.
Yeah. And I think this does, like you said before, it kind of resets some of the dynamics on SG-1. It kind of sets back, like, I think, if I remember correctly, like, Sam kind of pulls back a lot and is a little more standoffish in certain things for an episode or two.
Until season 4.
Right.
Well, but like,
we're getting there.
But like the
Chippy season 4.
Hell
but
yeah.
Like the episodes that we've been dealing with for the last, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 episodes, like, they've been much more appropriately like a cooperative team. No direct leader. Like, they respect Jack and his leadership, but it's been very equal say at the table.
Yes.
And I think for some things to continue in the series, a reestablishment a little bit of that difference was probably necessary, especially with like further things coming. Yeah. So just kind of reset everybody's space. Like, it resets Daniel's a civilian. He can't be court-martialed. It reset the tone that like Teal'c is kind of like alien to this. It resets that Carter is still ranks below. Like, there's still work to be done. And yeah, good refresher. I don't love that they did that, but
yeah, I think it kind of drives a wedge too in the relationship between Jack and the rest of SG-1. So they kind of have to build up their friendship and their relationships again and reestablish that trust. So it does create a more interesting dynamic, I think, within the team. So for themes and discussion, Jonathan Glassner, this is from our book. As the title suggests, Glassner says, it is a way to explore shades of gray. if a person steals a weapon to keep that weapon from killing somebody else, but nonetheless he stole the weapon, is it a crime? And how bad is it? So you kind of get into this like ethical moral dilemma. So like we've all heard of the trolley problem, which is like a thought experiment in ethics and psychology. So it's like, would you sacrifice one person to save 5 people? And this is used in TV shows a lot. Like you've seen this trope kind of be used before. Actually, on that Wikipedia page, it does mention an episode of Atlantis, which I thought was kind of funny. It also reminded me of the television show The Good Place.
If you I was about to say The Good Place.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful explanation.
Yeah, they explore ethics and morals and like what makes somebody a good person. It's based off of a book called What We Owe to Each Other, which I really want to read if I can find it. But just like it's a really interesting topic. Like, what is right? What is wrong? Things are very complicated, and sometimes there is no right answer.
No.
Sometimes it's just like, how can we cause the least amount of harm? Like we can't cause no harm, so how do we cause the least amount of harm? And is that even right?
It honestly feels a little cheapening for Newman to have said the line that, oh, this is great for Black Ops back home, because it kind of takes it out of gray and into a more black and white scenario. Whereas if they always were talking about like defending Earth and then doing these bad things, it would have been much more complex of an ethical dilemma. But like because he said that, I'm assuming it's because the writers wanted us to be like, oh, we definitely hate this guy, you know, like that, oh, we're taking this device that's literally going to lead to people dying because they don't have it, and we're going to be like, it'd be good to have for Black Ops back home, you know, like
so like, when you think of it, the SGC is right in the strict sense of stealing is wrong, and we won't steal, but we'd rather foster diplomacy and relationships, honesty and integrity, like the Ned Stark of the SGC, right? And then like the NID is kind of right. I mean, they have the ends justify the means. They will do whatever it takes to save billions of lives on Earth, even if it means killing one man to save 5, the trolley problem. So like their morals and ethics can be bent depending on the situation. I do wish, you know, like, again, it kind of creates the very like campy feel good. The SGC is right and moral and correct, and they can never do any wrong. And it's these other people on Earth that are the bad guys and doing the bad, stealing, immoral things. So I kind of wish that maybe it was like within the SGC and something different where it did make it a little more complex of like, I don't know, like I feel like, again, it's still that very like the good guys of the SGC and General Hammond, and he always wants to do the right thing, when in reality I'm sure they would be given some kind of unethical or questionable commands to retrieve technology.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to think on that. I think go ahead.
Oh, it just also feels like maybe the debate within the SGC and the reason they are like give these people back their stuff is because they sense the bigger protection being keeping these relationships with these people. Like that, I mean, it's literally what O'Neill says. He's like, well, we don't need their stuff, we need them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, and I think it's a learned perspective, because I think if you look at early SG-1, they didn't have that rapport, so they were very much like, let's get what we can, let's take back what we can, like we'll research it. But it shows maturity and growth in the program that at least their teams have gotten to the space of realizing, you're saying that bigger protection is out there, like the Asgard, like they understand the scope of the Asgard protection and influence,
right?
Like, we're not gonna fuck with them,
right?
But
one
like,
cloak of invisibility, or all of the Asgard being there potentially if we need them,
right?
Like
because the SGC has been in situations with the Asgard, they understand the gravity of it. But I do think, though, that when we walk into a space, or they walk into a space of the unknown and they don't know the players at the table, there is probably a little bit more of the like, okay, we can take what we want.
Yeah.
They don't lead with that always. They're willing to learn it, but they don't lead with that.
Even with as stingy as the Tolan have been, they still, like, without them, Skara would still be a host. Like, they help facilitate that coming around of Skara being freed from Clarel. So even though they were stingy and they're kind of annoying with all their rules, they still have been a great help to Earth.
Yeah.
So that's all I have. Again, like, I hate that they had to test the rest of SG-1. That's kind of shitty. Because, like, we knew that they weren't up to any shenanigans. I don't know. It's very.
I didn't
like,
take it as them being tested, by the way.
I did. How did you take it?
I took it as they were trying to distance O'Neill from them and create a rift so that Mayborn would be like, oh, he's pissing everybody off. Let me go talk to him.
But Hammond Damon said we needed to make sure that they reacted appropriately to O'Neill's bad behavior.
Yeah, because if they didn't know, if they had known that O'Neill was going to steal it, they wouldn't have reacted the same way. And Mayborn, like, nobody like listening in or watching in would have known anything.
To like make it more convincing.
Yeah, see, I took it that way. Like, I think they knew the players. I think they knew because they intentionally put Makepeace on the team. Like, I think they had a lot of ideas and probably information to be like, okay, we'll put Makepeace on the team. Like, I do think that they weren't testing SG-1 in the sense of that there was a mole. I do think it was more of a...
Their relationships were being tested, though, for sure.
Yes.
But it wasn't. It was just like an unfortunate thing because of the fact that they were having to make it more believable for Makepeace.
Like,
Makepeace and Mayborn.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have been an unintentional side effect if one of their relationships failed because someone did break that bond or that loyalty. I think that would have been an accidental discovery, but not something they were seeking out.
They didn't want any of that bad TV acting. Like, when like an actor is like, I need to pretend to act badly.
Right.
That whole thing. They needed it. Yeah, I read it that way. Like, that line from Hammond, I read that completely that different way of like, we needed to test you to make sure that like you weren't in on it and you reacted appropriately to hit. Like, you had the right, you objected the right way. Like, you did what we want you to do as like a test. That's how I read it.
Interesting.
No, but I could see it both ways.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's why I love our podcast and these conversations, because otherwise we'd be in these silos thinking everybody interprets it the way we do.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, I didn't have any other major like notes on it. Like, I went through and like the biggest thing was around like the loyalty and like the thing. I appreciate that we as the audience did not know that there was this thing going on, because that's obviously a choice to be made. So we were definitely also along for that ride, and I appreciated that decision in this episode.
And it was very convincing too. It wasn't like, again, we've built up to this. Jack has gone on record multiple times about his distaste for people that don't share technology. So it was very convincing. The episodes leading up to this really cemented that too. It didn't feel out of left field. It felt like Jack was a little unhinged. He was completely unhinged. But you could kind of play that off as like, he's just had the shits of it. He's like, I'm tired of this. And his conversation with Daniel, like, I like that they added in that the place was bugged again, because when you rewatch it, it's like, well, why are Jack and Hammond having this conversation so seriously? Like, they're all in on it. But if Hammond's office is bugged, like, they have to play it straight and keep it up. So Jack's house is bugged. That's a feature of bees.
And they also technically they know there's a mole. They just don't know exactly who it is. You know? So If
Yeah.
they walk by and their like guard is down and they're not doing their act, then
Yeah.
Did you see their faces? Whoa, like,
right.
Amazing.
could
Um,
we got him good.
We got him good. I mean, I think Jack was the only choice for that job though, because he does have that history and he does have the history of kind of being insubordinate. So like it is the most believable person, I guess, to go off the rails like that. So
yeah.
Very lucky that the Asgard wanted him too.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one. All right. What do we got next time? What are we doing next? What is it?
New ground, proof something ground.
Proving ground? Is it proving
No.
ground? No, it's
New ground.
hold on. New ground, yes.
I don't remember what this one is about.
Oh yeah, it's the one with the two
The religious-
cultures that look at the Stargate
Oh,
in
yeah.
completely different ways. It's a pretty cool one, yeah.
Worms, big ones.
I'm excited about that one. That'd be good. All right, whose turn is it? Who's closing it?
I have no idea.
I don't even know how to close this one.
I don't know either, man.
Is there anything in here that the
Oh wait. Okay, I think
You got it? You got it?
one.
Okay.
All right, guys, I'm going off world for 3 months. Please pay my mortgage. Make sure my bills get paid, please.